these pardons are utterly disgraceful. And these are folks that committed serious felonies. No ordinary American could have gotten these pardons, and they all got them because they were friends of Donald Trump. It's one reason the American people fired Donald Trump, because he repeatedly put himself and his friends above our country.
Reaction there on the show yesterday from California Congressman Ted Lieu on President Trump's recent pardons, and that included Roger Stone and Paul Manafort, and others, in fact, caught up in the Mueller-Russia probe, as well as some allies from Congress and Jared Kushner's father. Joining me now, Melissa Murray, professor of law at NYU Law School. Melissa, always glad to talk with you. First of all, could any ordinary American have gotten these pardons?
Well, typically, the process for a pardon requires making a petition that goes to the Department of Justice and their pardon department. And those pardon requests are thoroughly vetted by DOJ lawyers and then submitted with a recommendation from the DOJ to the president. That was not the case in this particular circumstance. It has been said that around 88% of the pardons that President Trump has issued during his presidency have actually gone outside of this ordinary process. So to that extent, these are people who are very close, who have access to the president. These are not people who are seeking pardons through the ordinary course.
Okay. It's not just Democrats like Ted Lieu criticizing the president. In fact, here's what Senator Pat Toomey said this morning about some of the pardons.
Some of these other cases, I mean, my goodness, we have tax fraud and bank fraud, witness tampering, obstruction of justice, but because they were close to the president, they got pardoned. This is unfortunately reminiscent of the Mark Rich pardon by President Clinton. It is legal, it is constitutional, but I think it's a misuse of the power.
That last part there, a misuse of the power, what's your response to that?
Well, the Constitution really doesn't provide many parameters on executive clemency. It's an incredibly broad power. But what we have seen under the course of ordinary presidencies is that presidents have used the pardon power to advance their own policy goals. So, for example, Jimmy Carter used the pardon power to provide amnesty to those who were accused of evading the draft, to send a signal that the nation was healing after the conflict of the Vietnam War. In the same way, Gerald Ford pardoned President Nixon in order for the country to heal after Watergate. And Barack Obama used his pardon power to pardon nonviolent drug offenders. So in some cases, those pardon powers are used to advance particular policy goals of an administration. Here, in the case of the Trump administration, it seems that the goal is to pardon those close to the president who may have reasons to be close to the president for reasons that we still don't know about.
I was trying to apply a rather lofty, sort of grandiose explanation and sort of category for these pardons, but nope, no can do. So let's talk about Andrew Weissman, who's an MSNBC contributor who was one of the Mueller prosecutors, who calls the president's final act an obstruction of justice. Do you agree with that?
So Andrew is my colleague at NYU, and he is a veteran of all of this, having worked closely with Bob Mueller on that prosecution. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to call it an abuse of power, again, because the Constitution provides very wide parameters for the use of the pardon power. But it is certainly unorthodox and certainly, I think, beyond what the framers might have contemplated that a president would do with this power. This power was originally intended to be a grant of mercy, of clemency for situations where the criminal justice system had perhaps gone too far, allowing the executive to make those corrections. I don't think the framers had in mind that a president would use the power in a way that would promote self-dealing. Although, to be quite fair, many presidents have used the pardon power in the past in ways that benefited them. So, for example, Bill Clinton pardoned his half-brother Roger, and we've seen, again, there was the mention of Mark Rich.
And quickly, these pardons could have a downside because these men will no longer have Fifth Amendment privilege, and that includes any potential pardons within the Trump family as well, right, Melissa?
That's exactly right. And that is especially true in situations where these individuals might be called upon to testify before Congress. In the past, for example, some of these individuals, like Michael Flynn, have been able to plead the Fifth Amendment when testifying before Congress. Not going to be the case going forward now that they've been pardoned.
There is a downside then. Okay, Melissa Murray, thank you so much. Happy New Year, my friend. We'll see you. Because of the pandemic, this may be the worst winter of all for one American industry, and that's ahead. Life under COVID, America's restaurants facing a winter of discontent, and they're hoping the COVID relief bill could be a lifesaver. A new study shows restaurant revenue down nearly 70% through November. Takeout and delivery sales have soared, but not enough. Those sales were up nearly 60%, but that 10% percentage point difference could mean the last meal for some places. So far this year, an estimated 110,000 restaurants have closed, and sadly, more are probably pending. When the House convenes tomorrow, it's expected to vote on a standalone bill for those $2,000 direct payments. But what will that accomplish?